How's it going, fellow YouTubers? This is another episode with the Black Bass Fisherman, episode 7. And what I'm going to take you into is the beginnings and entry level bass fishing. And these are some of the things that you're going to need just to get started in bass fishing. These are the minimum requirement of the list that I came up with to get you started. Now, I want to talk to you real briefly about what rod and reel you're going to need. So you're going to need one medium action 6'2" to 6'8" medium action spinning rod, and you match that with a 3500 series spinning reel with 10 to 12 pound test monofilament. The next rod you're going to need is a medium heavy action. And this is a medium heavy action line weight 10 to 25 pounds. And you're going to want that anywhere from 6'10" to 7'2", a medium heavy action rod with 15 pound test line on there, and you can go as heavy as 30 pound braided line. So what I want to talk to you about first is some of the things you need to know when you're going bass fishing. So I've stripped it down to the bare minimum lures you're going to need. And they're going to cost anywhere between, once you get everything, between $65 and $85 just for all the terminal tackle and the lures. Excuse me. So first thing we're going to talk about is I'm going to show you real quickly how to rig a Texas rig when you're bass fishing. Now this is one of the easiest things to learn, and you're going to need 3 items. The first item you're going to need is a bobber stop. This is a sinker stop, and it stops your sinker from sliding up and down the line. The next item I always use after that is a bullet weight. I like to use 1/2 ounce or 3/8 ounce. Sometimes I'll go as heavy as 3/4. The item underneath that is a glass bead. I always Texas rig and fish with a glass bead underneath my sinker for sound. And the last thing you're going to need are 3/0 to 5/0 EWG hooks, extra wide gap. 3/0 to 5/0. I prefer Owner and Gamakatsu, but just make sure you buy something that you know is sharp and good to go. So the first thing we're going to do is get the bobber stops out. And these bobber stops come with little loops. It looks like a little octopus. See them all on there? And all you do is you take your line, you go through one of the little loops. So I'm through one of the loops on the bobber stop, through one of the loops. Pull up some line, grab the little bobber stop, pull it on your line, and take it off. And now, just that easily, your bobber stop is on. See that? That little tiny sinker stop? It stops your bullet weight. Now the next thing we're going to put on is one of your bullet weights. You're just going to slide your line through coming from your rod. right on through. And this is how it should look. And when it hits the sinker stop, it stops. Now the next thing we're going to thread on is your black bead. And we're going to thread that black bead on just like that. So if you've done it right, it should look just like that. Sinker stop first, bullet weight, bead, and now you're ready to tie your hook on. So I'll take a 3/0 wide gap hook. And what you're going to do is, you're going to do the same knot that I showed you in the previous videos. And I'll show you. You put your line through the eye of the hook, just like that. You pull out about 4.5, 5 inches. You wrap it around 5 times. You go through the top loop that's right underneath the eye of the hook. And then you go back through the little loop. This is an improved knot from the one I've shown you. Once you've gone through the top loop underneath the eyelid, you go back through the little circle that's left. You bring the line right through. You moisten it and you tighten it just by pulling down. So let's give that a trim. And that's what it should look like when you're all done. It should look just like this. Just like that. Sinker stop, bullet weight, bead, and hook. And as you can see, it slides and stops right where you put that sinker stop. And what you're going to do with this is where your soft plastics come into play. I want you to first buy Power Bait Max Scent, the General. It's a 5-inch worm made by Power Bait Max Scent. It's called the General. And this is a standard 5-inch Cinco. Let's open it up. And what you're going to do with this guy, you're going to take him, you're going to go through the flat part, the head of the worm with your hook point. You're going to go right through the middle. You're going to go down 1/8 of an inch and come out. As you can see, I've came out. I've went down 1/8 of an inch and then I've came out. You're going to slide that worm up. So you're going to slide that worm up so it's on the hook just like that, going straight out with the line. Then you take the back of the worm against your thumb, and that's where you're going to go in at. So you're going to go in at the back of the worm, in the middle, through the worm, and that's how it should look when you're done. Just like that. And that is your basic Texas rig worm. Your basic Texas rig worm. Now let's get that off there. And you're also going to use your Yum 6-inch lizards. These are all the baits you're going to need for your soft plastics for bass fishing. And you're going to take one of these out of the package. You're going to do the same thing with your lizard. You're going to go right through center of the top of the head. You're going to come out about 1/8 of an inch. And you put them all the way up there. And then you measure back. Come out through the top. And this is how your lizard will look. That's a beautiful presentation Texas rig. Right through the top, 1/8 of an inch out, move it up to the top, then bring it through the back and come back in. So let's get him off. And I'm going to cut this hook off and show you the last Texas rig with a 7-inch curly tail worm. So for that, you're going to use an offset hook. And I use a 4/0 Eagle Claw laser sharp hooks. This is an offset hook. So let's go ahead and get your fishing line like we did the knot before. Take it through the eye of the hook. Spin it around about 5 times like I told you. Go through the top loop underneath the eyelid and then pull it through your circle that you made. Wet it and cinch it down. And just clip off the tag end. And this is what an offset worm hook looks like. As you can see that, it's basically a totally different style than the wide gap. And I fished those with Berkley Power Bait Power Worms. It's a power grub tail worm, 7 inches long. And these are a lot thinner than your normal stick worms. So what I do, once again, I lay out the curly tail. So I want the curl in back. I go through the head, 1/8 of an inch in, and come right out. And then I pull that up on my hook head. Pull that right up. There we go. So as you can see, I've got that pulled up on the line. And then I measure the back. And then I go in. Measure the back. These hooks are kind of slippery. And I go in just like that. And I pull it forward some and tuck in and pull. And this is your Texas rig on an offset shank hook. 7-inch power worms. And that tail will just flutter as you cast that out. Reel up the slack and drag it along bottom and hop it up off the bottom. All that action you get from that tail spinning. So those are your Texas rigs and your soft plastics. And there is one more option for your EWG hooks. You can also Texas rig this Berkley Havoc skeet reese design. This is a Berkley Havoc. You can see it. Looks like a little crawdad. This is green pumpkin, red flake. You can also put this on your Texas rig. The same way I just shown you. And you use that on an EWG hook. So, I'm going to cut this off, put this to the side. Now, the next rig I'm going to talk to you about are your moving baits. We're going to start with what you're going to buy is a couple of different lipless crankbaits, 1/2 ounce size. These are the colors I want you to get. As you can see, one's a shad, one's a bluegill, and another option is the crawdad color. Those three colors will cover you no matter what lake, river, or reservoir you go to, anywhere in the country. Those two colors are killer. Now moving on to another moving bait, I would suggest 2 spinner baits in these colors. And they're both anywhere from 3/8 ounce to 1/2 ounce spinner baits. You go as small as 3/8, and I'd go as big as 1/2 ounce. One's a shad pattern and one's a bluegill pattern. Now, for you to work the top of the water column, all the moving baits were from 5 feet from the top of the water going all the way down to 20 feet. Now for the top of the water columns, you're going to have top water frogs. And these are the 2 frogs that I want you to get, is the snag proof and Terminator frogs. As you can see, these look like little frogs. The hooks are coming out of them. So you get 2 to 3 of those. And I want you to get one in all white, because white is on most frogs' bellies. So when the bass look up, they're going to see this white profile jumping around on the lily pads and hydrilla, and they're going to come after it. Those are 3 proven bass catching machine lures. And the last of your lures you're going to get to complete your basic bass setup are top water poppers. And these are made by Pop R. You can buy them from Berkley. Rapala has them. Just different top water poppers. And these cost anywhere from $3.99 to $6. Those 2 colors. And this is a great color. As you can see, it's just a silver shad color or a minnow color with that dark black back and a feathered tail. So these and everything I've shown you are what you need to get started in your new adventure bass fishing, from young to old men and women, or from people that have been doing trout fishing and bait fishing and you finally want to try something new. Like I said, for all of this tackle, it's going to be anywhere between $65 and $85, depending on how many you add. You know, on the low end, you're just adding 2 lures of each. On the high end, you're probably adding 3 lures of each. So once again, thanks this time for tuning in with the Black Bass Fisherman. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps. So if you've liked this video and you felt like it helped you out some, go ahead and comment, and I read all my comments. So thank you guys, and have a great day.